Hi guys, welcome to my English lesson. Today I'd like to help you to write a covering letter. The best covering letter that you have to write is very important. A covering letter is a single page letter that you include with your job application. You should always include a cover letter unless the job advertisement clearly says not to. But what is the purpose of a covering letter? When writing a covering letter, you should introduce yourself, mention the job or kind of job you are applying for or you are looking for, show that your skills and experience match the skills and experience needed to do the job. Encourage the reader to read your resume or your curriculum, because resume is in USA and curriculum vitae is in UK. Finish with a call to action, for example, asking for an interview or a meeting. How long should be a covering letter? Keep it short. A covering letter is meant to be a summary of your resume, so don't write more than one page. Use a different covering letter for each job you apply for. Your covering letter needs to show that you know what the job involves and what the employer is looking for. To do this, be specific about your skills and qualities. You also need to show how they match the needs of the job or the organization. Here are three simple ways to make your covering letter as specific as possible. These are tips that I would like to give you. Find out who to address it to. Try not to address your letter to whom it may concern. Find out the name of the person who will read your application. This might take a little effort, but it's worth it. If you find a job in an advertisement, it will probably name a person to send the application to. If it doesn't, call the employer or advertiser and ask who to send the application to. Telephone is best, but email them if you can't find a contact phone number. If you find out the person's name, don't use their first name. Use either Mr. or Miss and their last name instead. Find out more about the job. When finding out who to address your application to, you could also try to contact that person so you can ask questions. This can help you match your covering letter and resume to the job. You should ask, does the job involve working as part of a team? Who would I be reporting to if I got the job? Can you tell me more about the kind of person you are looking for? Is there a position description I can look at? Only ask this if the job advertisement doesn't mention a position description. Find out more about the company. Find out more about the company so you can tailor your covering letter for the job. Here are some tips. If you know the name of the company, look for information online. If the company has a website, visit it, especially their About Us page. If the company name isn't in the advertisement, call the recruitment agency or advertiser and ask who the employer is. What are the things that you have to include in your covering letter? Your name and contact details. Put your name and contact details at the top of your covering letter. You don't have to give your postal address, but you do need to include your email and phone number. Your email address should create a professional impression. Don't use an email address like YOLO, Zapaban, etc. Name of fantasy. Use your name as your surname as possible, if it's possible. If you don't have a professional email address, you can make one with a free email provider. Make it simple. Something that includes your first name and your last name is a good way to go. So I'll suggest to make a name or an email with your name with a surname, because it's a professional, and employers can see you as a professionist, and not use that kind of nickname with the email. Okay. Then under your name and contact details, you should include the name of the person you're writing to, their position or the name of their company, their contact details. If you're having trouble finding this information, you can call the company to ask who you should address your application to. You can also use to whom it may concern, but it's best to only use these as a last resort. The name of the job you are going for. At the start of your covering letter, you need to say which job you are applying for. You can do this online by itself. For example, regarding application for stock controller position. You can also do this in the opening paragraph. For example, I'm writing to apply for the recently advertised stock controller position. Include a brief summary about how your skills and experiences match the job description. A short bullet list is fine. If you're answering a job advertisement, there may be a position description that lists essential skills and experiences. It may also have a list of desirable skills and experience. Your covering letter needs to respond to all of the items on the essential list. You should also respond to as many items as you can on the desirable list. Remember that if you say you have a skill or experience, you need to show how you have used it or how you got it. For example, if you say you got child minding skills, mention some jobs where you have used them. After listing your skills and experience, you should explain why these mean you're suited to the job. For example, my ability to get along with anyone and my experience in solving customer problems in a retail setting make me ideally suited for this job. Praticamente ho detto la mia abilità è quello di andare d'accordo con tutti, e la mia esperienza di risolvere anche i problemi dei clienti nella vendita al dettaglio, e mi fa quindi il candidato ideale per questo lavoro. Using the same language as people who do a particular job shows that you understand the industry or field that the employer works in. Find out that the employer does and how they talk about themselves. Use this language in your covering letter. It's very important to use the same language as they will use to work. For example, if there is a tool or software or skill the job requires, like machining tools or cash handling, mention it on your covering letter, but make sure you mention it correctly. And your covering letter should finish by asking the employer to read your resume. It should also ask them to contact you about an interview. Try something simple like, I have attached a copy of my resume. I look forward to hearing from you about this job. Even though most employers will assume you are applying for more than one job, you don't need to mention it. And so I think these are some tips to, if you have some experience. If you don't have experience to write a covering letter, you have to know some important thing, and then I will make another podcast to explain how to make a covering letter in a better way when you have no experience at all. Bye.